What's up everybody, GenExDividendInvestor here. In this video I show you my largest dividend I've ever had from a single stock, which in this case was AT&T, as well as I show you how my AT&T dividend, combined with a couple others I received, was a record for the largest payouts over 7 days. I've always found it motivating to look at how much my dividends paid out over different time intervals like monthly, weekly, daily, hourly, etc., as well as how much my estimated dividend payout income was with a drip versus without a drip. If you're new to my channel, then welcome. My goal is to inspire, educate, and entertain you as I share lessons I've learned from investing for over 25 years in the markets. My favorite strategy is dividend growth investing, and if you appreciate free content like this, then please show your support by hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing if you haven't yet, and clicking that bell notification. So the dividends I've gotten in the last few days are exciting to me because they're my first big payouts since that video I did in February called Watch Me Buy $450,000 of Dividend Stocks. Here's a screenshot I took on May 1st of my Fidelity taxable account with my two most recent dividends. You can see an AT&T dividend for $2,325.96 and an Altria dividend from a few days earlier for $2,432.94. Now, AT&T's dividend pay date is actually May 3rd, but Fidelity already shows it as processing in my account, which means I could trade against it, but I can't transfer it into my checking account until late evening on May 3rd. I also hold a small amount of AT&T in a tax-sheltered IRA account, and here's the $206.44 dividend I got from that IRA. You can also see my JPM dividend in that IRA for $404.10. So altogether I got $2,532.40 of AT&T dividends, which is my all-time record for a normal recurring quarterly dividend payout from a single company. My all-time record dividends payout from over a 7-day span was also this week, and that was for $5,369.44 of dividends. It blows my mind to know that every 3 months I get a payout over a week's period that is around $5,400. Now, there have been occasions that companies have paid me special dividends which were more than $5,400, but I don't count those since they weren't recurring. I've been dividend investing for multiple decades now, and I still get amazed by its truly passive cash flow for doing absolutely nothing. I don't have to manage the company, I don't have to deal with toxic people, I don't have to go to Zoom meetings, I don't have to talk to an annoying boss, I don't have to sit in traffic, etc. I've done all that for decades, so now I really appreciate not doing that. Oh, I actually got more dividends than that from AT&T because I hold some in my kids' brokerages, but since they're custodial accounts, I didn't include those dividends as part of my records for this video. I put some AT&T shares in their accounts because I wanted them to get excited by seeing some dividends flow in, even though they tend to have more growth-oriented stocks. Anyways, Fidelity can email you when you get a dividend, like this one they sent me for my April 30th Altria payout. Okay, now let's jump into my Google Spreadsheet dividend tracker, where I can show you my payouts and some other fun things. Okay, here we are in my spreadsheet, and I have updated the highlighting on the tickers. Today's actually May 3rd, a little bit past midnight. And what I did was I made it so that the colors would reflect the pay date. So if something is highlighted in green, it means it's today, and in this case, AT&T is paying out on May 3rd, so it's highlighted in green. And then I highlight it in yellow if it's paying out within the month, or cyan if it's paying out within a week. And you can see I've got the ticker, logo, sector. I have this accounts column, and you can have up to 6 accounts in my spreadsheet portfolio tracker. In this case, I'm doing all, which aggregates all the different accounts in this view. The quantity, so for example, I have 1,738 shares of Apple, and then 786 shares of Microsoft, etc. And then this was the close of the market price on Friday, the daily change, and the percent daily change, and how much that changed in my portfolio. So since Apple was down about 1.5%, that means I dropped about $3,500 of Apple. And then if we keep scrolling to the right, we see the market value for each of my positions. So for example, Apple at $228,000 worth, the annual passive income for each position, the percent that position takes up in my portfolio. So Apple is 9.46% of my dividend portfolio. And then if we scroll a little bit more to the right, we have the X date and the pay date following that same scheme that I talked about before. So we see that the X date is in cyan, which means that it's within a week, and the pay date's yellow, which means it's within a month. And then you can also see that AT&T's pay date is today, so it's highlighted in green. And then this dividend yield column, I just highlighted in green if it's greater than or equal to 4%. And then we have the 3-year dividend CAGR. So for example, Apple's is 9.83%, Microsoft is 9.16%, etc. And then we have a few dividend fields, dividends per share per pay period that's paid out, the number of dividend payments per year, and then we have the dividends per share per year, both an automatic field and a manual field. And then we have a few other metrics here going into a calendar of the dividends you've received in the past. And then the current month is in cyan, and then the future estimated dividend payouts over here. And then if you scroll down, you can see what the monthly expected payouts are going to be. So for example, in May, I should get about $5,400 of dividends, and in June, $8,600, in July, about $6,400, etc. If we go back, I'll show you my positions. These are sorted by market value, so you can see Apple is number 1 at about 228 grand, Microsoft at 198 grand, AT&T about 153 grand, and then Johnson & Johnson about 146 grand, Altria 135 grand, Philip Morris about 120 grand worth, Pepsi about 110 grand, Duke about 108 grand, ExxonMobil about 108, and 3M 107 grand. And those are the top 10 positions. And then we have Procter & Gamble, McDonald's, Coke, Realty Income, Kimberly-Clark, Southern Company, AbbVie, JPM, Chevron, Colgate-Palmolive, Leggett & Platt, Caterpillar, Starbucks, Home Depot, Travelers, and Pfizer. So it's about a $2.4 million portfolio, and it generates around $81,800 a year. The portfolio's average weighted dividend yield is about 3.4%, and the portfolio's average weighted 3-year dividend CAGR is about 7.52%. Then I have this tool which tracks the dividends, and so we can see, for example, for AT&T, here's the $2,532 that were paid out. And then if we scroll up a bit, and here we can see the Altria one for $2,432. Again, you can scroll down and see what the totals were. So in March, I had that record of $8,645 of dividends paid out, and in April, $6,391, and so far in May, $2,532.40, which is that AT&T dividend. And then if you scroll up, what it does, it automatically adds a new column in every month. And so in this case, since we just rolled over into May, these are all the dividends that I should be getting. They're still zeroed right now because I haven't received them. But it gives me an automatic indicator of which dividends I should be getting. So in May, I'll be getting Apple, AbbVie, Caterpillar, Colgate-Palmolive, and Realty Income, Procter & Gamble, and Starbucks. And then these two rows are kind of fun. Top row is the estimated annual income with no drip, and it goes out year over year. And then the bottom is the estimated annual income with a drip, and it goes out year over year. So it's basically using your portfolio's starting values and yield, and then increase it based on the CAGR. And so we can see that in about 3 years, if the CAGR holds, I'll be making 6 figures finally of dividends, and that's with not even having the drip on, just the CAGR increasing year over year. And you can see how crazy this becomes as time goes on, how fast it grows. At year 10, I'd be at 168 grand from no drip, all the way up to 250 grand if I was dripping it that entire time. And then you can see how silly these numbers get, and it shows you really the power of compounding as time goes on, where if you go out to, let's say, year 30, which is how far I modeled this out to, at that point you could be yielding 720 grand a year without your drip on, all the way up to $3.78 million a year if you had your drip on for 30 years and your companies had kept their CAGR. So it's really crazy how powerful the snowball becomes when you keep on investing. And then a few other metrics down here. Zoom out a bit. So this is a nice one that shows all the different sectors. So you can see technology is about 17.7%, communication services 6.3%, healthcare 9.9%, sin stocks are 10.6%, consumer defensive 17.9%, utilities 7.6%, energy 7.3%, industrial 6.4%, consumer cyclical 8.8%, real estate 3.7%, and financials 3.9%. And then if we scroll down a little bit more, you can see the annual passive income percentage by sector. Sectors that pay out the most are sin and energy, consumer defensive, communication services, etc. And then here's a annual passive income percentage by ticker. And you also have a portfolio value percentage by ticker. And then here is a chart that shows your estimated annual passive income with a drip versus no drip over time. Kind of show you how it can grow if you are reinvesting those dividends, which is the top line, or if you're not reinvesting the dividends and you're just spending that cash from the dividends, then it still grows due to the CAGR. Awesome. Now I'd like to shout out some of my YouTube subscribers who just joined my team as Patreon aristocrats. So thank you Maverick1, thank you KC Runner, and thank you Smoky Sky. As aristocrats, they gain access to my dividend spreadsheet product that I use in this video, and to multiple private channels on my Discord, including one where I let them watch my videos before I release them to the public, as well as to a channel which lets them vote on which thumbnails I use for my videos, and of course they get more direct access to me. Finally, I highly recommend that you join my free Dividend Discord chat server, which has thousands of dividend investors on it from 55 countries around the world. I have a bunch of private country chat channels so that my international users can talk dividends in their own language, and they can use English for the main channels. Anyways, since you watched this video all the way to the end, I'll tell you a new dad joke. So what do you call it when a group of apes starts a company? Monkey business. Remember, you get what you pay for in these videos. Please consider following me on Twitter and Instagram. Beyond sharing dividend information, I'm also starting to post daily inspirational quotes and screenshots, which I think you'll find motivating. Please show your support by hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing if you haven't yet, and clicking that bell notification. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again real soon. I am not a financial advisor, and these videos are for entertainment, inspiration, and educational purposes only. Investing of any kind involves risk. I am only sharing my opinion with no guarantee of gains or losses on investments.